Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for our weekly office hours. My name is George Soto, one of the co-founders here at AssetMule, joined by my co-founder and CEO Justin Dorfman. And I am pretty excited today. I was going to actually bust out my guitar, Justin, that I had here. So I don't know, the
You
audio
got a
might not.
buyer enablement song?
Yeah, yeah, so I'm gonna write a buyer enablement song in my head here. I think I just look cool with my flamenco guitar here. But for the folks out there that did not come to watch me goof off here on the guitar and came for a very important buyer enablement oriented topic, which is how to enable your champions to sell your solution internally. So this is more relevant than ever because I just don't know that we'll ever go back to 100% in office, right? And even that structure, if you remember, right, like we're still in our respective cubicles or desks and stuff like that, and we are forever going to be connected by some sort of like async chat or messaging system, right? So that world is just part of digital transformation where we're at today. So we're going to dive into this topic here today. If you do have any questions, comments, feedback, go ahead and post those in the comments area here. You're probably watching this on LinkedIn or YouTube, even though LinkedIn has not given us analytics. I don't know why. But we know folks are tuning in, so we're excited about that. But again, yeah, if you do have any questions, comments, feedback, insights, anything that we're missing, give us your opinion. Like, what is buyer enablement? How do you think this works in today's buying environment? And we'll get to those questions, comments, feedback at the end of the session when we're sort of focused on the Q&A and getting to those. If it is like some sort of urgent thing, just be like, hey, I really got to run to lunch. So can you answer this question? We'll get to it right away. So we have a lot of autonomy around that. So without further ado, Justin, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, no, I'm super stoked on this topic. I think it's, like you said, so relevant, and even more so, I think, as time goes on, people are really starting to see that the future of sales enablement is buyer enablement, right? We all know that more and more of the buying process now happens without sales in the room, right? I think like the latest I saw was over 80% of the sales process happens without sales in the room. And at the same time, there's more and more stakeholders that need to sign off on a B2B purchase, right? I think Gartner said that like over six on average stakeholders that are needed to sign off on a purchase. So you've got these two phenomenons happening, right? Sales is not in the room, and there's more people to influence than ever before. So the only way to do it, in my opinion, and I think many out there believe this as well, is to enable your champion to sell internally on your behalf, right? And I think there was always this case, but I think now with these the remote world and the asynchronous selling and all these things, it's just become more and more important. On the other side of the coin, I think there's huge benefits to enabling your champion, right? Think about the fact that you don't need all these meetings that you used to have before. I remember when I was a salesperson carrying a bag back in the day, right? One of our big deals that we were working on was Microsoft. And that was like a 6-month sales process. And in the last, let's say, 3 months of that sales process, I was flying from the Bay Area to Redmond almost every other week, right? And think about like the cost and the time and all these things. And it was literally just to have the same meeting over and over again with a different stakeholder that was needed to sign off. So if you're able to enable your champion to do that on your behalf, you can reduce the need for these additional meetings, speed up the sales cycle, the buying process, and ultimately, we all know time kills all deals. So if you can shorten that sales cycle, your chances of winning that deal are just higher. So that's what we're going to dive into today. And we're going to show actually how we do it at AssetMule. We have a template in our system that you can actually use yourself to enable this for your own sales team. But we'll show the one that we actually use, and I'll walk through step by step what we include in that template, in that asset, to help our buyers sell on our behalf. And we've done it pretty successfully. I think, it's really worked out well for us. So we're hoping that this is something that adds value for you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll
Awesome.
hop over to
Well,
AssetMule.
while Justin's going through that, just wanted to highlight Hannah's comments. So many conversations about your products and services are happening when you're not in the room. Enabling buyers to be champions and then sell your solution internally is an absolute no-brainer. I added the absolute. That was mine. But thank you so much, Hannah. Really appreciate it. Would love to hear kind of how you're enabling this currently.
Awesome. Well, I won't go too much into what AssetMule is. I think a lot of folks on this call or on this webinar might have a sense of what we do, but very, very quickly, we enable you to create interactive sales assets for your sales team in minutes. And we have a bunch of templates, as you can see here, that you can build from. You can also build your own from scratch. And really get going with any type of sales asset you can think of, the one pagers, the case studies, the competitive pages, and so on. The one that we're going to focus on today, and the one that we use for our own buyer enablement, is the follow-up templates. So you'll see we have a follow-up template, a follow-up with a product video, and a follow-up with interactive demo that you can use. And really what this is used for is the salesperson just had a great meeting with a prospect, whether it be a discovery call or more likely maybe a demo. That prospect has now kind of transitioned into a champion. They've seen the light. They understand how this solution is going to help them solve a specific problem or achieve a specific goal. Now they want to go back to their team, right, their boss and the various stakeholders in the organization and share that knowledge and get everybody behind potentially bringing this on board. So this template is something that a product marketer can pre-populate with your content to enable your sales team to then do that last mile personalization in there and kind of add those little tidbits of information that they picked up in that last meeting, and then send over to the prospect, now the champion, to go ahead and sell your solution internally to their stakeholders. And we've used this template at AssetMule to create our own. And I'll show it here that, now as I'm doing follow-up, post-demo, and so on, I can start to use. And the way that I do it is I go ahead and, again, this is pre-populated with all this content already, with our branding, with our logos, and I can go ahead and create an asset from this template and now do that last mile personalization that I can then send over to my champion. Before we go into that step, I just want to walk through it little by little and actually show 5 things that I think are great things to add to this template or to any asset to enable your champion to sell on your behalf. And the first is I really love adding a quick Loom video in here. Again, the idea here is that, as the salesperson in this scenario, I'm not going to get FaceTime with some stakeholders, right? Some key stakeholders, the CFO and so on. So being able to add that human touch, put a face to a name, is, I think, really, really valuable. And, kind of explain not just what's in this document and what they'll find in here, but also, how we think we can help them and re-articulate some of those key pain points that we think we can solve that came out of that conversation. So again, I like to drop in a quick Loom video. You'll see here, this one's about 40 seconds long. And then all you have to do is throw in the URL to that Loom video. And now you have this really nice human touch, this personalized welcome to the asset. As we go down further, the next thing I like to do is highlight some key priorities and challenges that I heard from that prospect, from now my champion, right? And what I'll usually do, if I think about this as a product marketer enabling a sales team, I would pre-populate these, 4 to 5 of them. Not to say that the salesperson isn't going to update them. The point should be that maybe that they do update them, but just to give them some, inspiration on the common priorities and challenges that prospects face, and some examples of the type of bullet points that they'll want to put in here. So you may even, highlight it as example, right? Just so that you are pushing them to make these updates, because I think doing that is really, really important. And they're usually doing it anyway. A general, very common sales process is to send that over email, right? That follow-up email, they have a couple bullet points of this is what I heard, or this is what we heard from you, and this is how we think we can help you. bringing into the asset itself that then can be easily shared in a more visual and compelling way is really, really, really interesting. So we've got the priorities and challenges, and then again, along those lines, how we can help. And again, as the product marketer, I suggest pre-populating this with the most common sort of value props, benefits or feature highlights that you would usually want to highlight. But again, the idea is that the salesperson should come in here and maybe make some tweaks so that it really is in line with that prospect cares about, and the key capabilities and use cases that are most aligned to their needs. So that's the second thing that I wanted to highlight here. As we continue to go down, now we want to actually bring those feature highlights to life, right? And what we've done here is we've included a Nevadic interactive demo, right? So again, we're not going to have that opportunity to meet with those stakeholders, maybe their boss and the CFO and the VP of marketing and so on. So include an interactive demo in here if you use an interactive demo that allows your champions team to walk through the platform just like you did with them, right? And get a sense of what it's all about and how they can start using it. And if you don't have an interactive demo, first of all, with Nevadic and Storylane and a lot of these tools, you can create a free account and create your first demo actually for free. So, go ahead and do that. If you've been thinking about building that interactive demo, but you haven't done it yet, this is a perfect opportunity to do that. But if you haven't been thinking about that, or you maybe have a really great product demo video, you can also swap out that Nevadic component in this case with our video component and embed your standard sort of demo video in there, and that could work as well. Continuing to go down here, now we want to get into some social proof. So I think at this point, your champion is really well set up to educate their team on, who you guys are as a company, as a product, what you do, which particular pain points and use cases you're relevant for, and how you'll help solve those, right? And even showing the product. But now we want to add some social proof in terms of results that your customers are experiencing. So you're going to want to put some of these in there. And logos, customer logos, relevant customer logos. Again, you could organize these by industry, company size, and so on, and also quotes. And when I mention organizing these in different ways, what I mean is AssetMule has this concept of snippets, right? Where in the template itself, you can already have these pre-populated, but you can also give your team alternative, in this case, logos that they can pull in. It might be based on, again, industry or company size. They can pull in a different set of logos, and also quotes, right? You want to make sure that these customer quotes speak specifically to the use case and the problems and the challenges and the goals that prospect that you're selling to is thinking about and cares about, right? So populate your AssetMule account with a bunch of quotes and tag them in different ways, right? By persona, by use case, by challenge, right? And allow your sales team to very easily sort and pull the most appropriate ones in there. And if you really want to take that social proof to the next level, you might have seen this, but we recently announced a partnership with Noble, and we introduced our Noble components, which you can see right here, that if you're, again, a Noble user, you can add to your asset here. If you're not a Noble user, just like with the interactive demos, you can sign up for free. But if you're not familiar with Noble, what Noble does is it takes social proof to the next level, not just by allowing you to show logos and quotes, but actually allowing you to highlight specific people, customers, happy customers, and actually match your prospects with happy customers that they actually know. Noble has this really smart way of highlighting people that use your product that the prospect who's viewing your asset in this case actually knows, and making it easy for them to reach out to them and have a conversation and learn about how they're using your product. And again, really add that social proof, or take that social proof to the next level. So we are Noble users. So what I can do, since my Noble account is set up, is put AssetMule.ai in here. And by doing that, I can embed our Noble widget in here so that, again, whoever's viewing this can actually see real people, real users that they can then reach out to by email or LinkedIn to connect with and understand how they're using, in this case, AssetMule, and what value they're getting. So that's the fourth. And then the final sort of tip that I have here is, and again, this is all these things that I'm showing you are in this template that you can use already in AssetMule. All you have to do is populate it with your content. But this is our sort of asset hub, right, where you can add links to other things, right? And I have a standard asset hub setup here where I have a link to our website where they can explore further, or our template library that's also on our website where they can see the different templates that they'd have access to as part of their AssetMule subscription. Our pricing, we have some professional services as well that I've included a link to. That's actually another AssetMule asset that we've built that they can view and check out. And then also, we're a PLG product, so they can actually sign up for free. You'll see here, get started for free button here. So I've also included our getting started guide, which is also another AssetMule asset that they can use to, start using the product. But other things that you can add here are things like case studies, right? You can link to relevant case studies, or, if you know that they're evaluating you and other solutions, you can spin up, using AssetMule, we have a competitive comparison template. You can create competitive comparison pages and add those here as well. And what's really great about this and AssetMule assets in general is they're dynamic, they're web-based, right? So this can be something that you populate from the get-go, but also as you're having follow-up conversations with your champion, you're hearing objections, you're hearing questions, you can start populating this over time, and dynamically this asset will update so that anybody that's viewing it will have access to the new information. Finally, at the bottom here, we do have my calendar. So again, if they do want to schedule a follow-up meeting, if they want to dive into anything in more detail, they can do that super easily. They can just find some time on my calendar and book some time with me. But that's kind of the walkthrough of the template. Now, the way that it would work is, again, the product marketer will set up this template, pre-populate everything in here at a base level. And then the salesperson comes in here and does that last mile personalization. So let's say I'm now the salesperson. I'm going to use this to send this out to a prospect that I just had a great conversation with. I go in here, I put in their logo. Let's say I'm selling to OpenAI. I'm going to put in, all I have to do is put openai.com in here. And AssetMule will actually, OpenAI, what is OpenAI? Is it OpenAI.ai? What is it? Let's see, OpenAI.
OpenAI.com, yes.
.com. Okay, so let me try that again. Let's see if that works. There we go. Okay, it works. So now it gives
live demo that didn't go sideways.
No worries. But yeah, you'll see AssetMule gives us a bunch of logos that we can use, right? Obviously, if we don't find it, we can upload logos here that you can see. Just download them, upload them, and so on. But what's really great again is AssetMule finds these. They're pre-formatted. I can pull them in. They look great, and just like that, I now have this logo. Let's say I'm reaching out to Jane at OpenAI. I can just throw in Jane's name in here. Again, I can, best to sort of pre-populate this content with some examples, but your sales team can then edit some of this stuff, make it more relevant, contextual to the conversation they had. Again, they can drop in the video. They can go in here, again, add the bullet points or edit the bullet points as needed. And then swap in those snippets, anything that they want. But let's say this now looks good and this is ready to go. So as a salesperson, what I can do now is give this a name. Let's call it AssetMule for OpenAI. Save the asset. And now before sending it out, I can preview it, make sure everything looks good, right? We've got the video in there. Everything's looking good. This is what it's going to look like when we send it to the prospect. And you'll see it also it pulls in this nice bar at the bottom here with the salesperson's image and their name, and also a book a meeting button here, right? So really optimizing for that engagement and that conversion. But now that the salesperson is ready to send this out, they have a couple of different options to share. They can share it as a link. They can share it as a link and a screenshot. Or the favorite of our customers usually is this link and animated screenshot, and you'll see why I'm going to choose that option and then hop over to my email. Now, let's say I'm sending that follow-up email to the prospect. Thanks for your time. I put together this asset to recap our conversation and for you to share around your team, right? Now what they can do is just paste that in here, and you'll see this really nice animated GIF scroll through. So it gives them a little bit of a preview of this personalized asset that now they can share with their team, and maybe gets them a little excited to share it with their team as well, right? And as they share it with their team, if they use the animated GIF as well to forward it on, it really draws people in, draws them to click through and go to the page, right? And I'll just do that here. Let's say I'm somebody and I received it. I can now go to the page, and this is what it's going to look like live, right? And now as I walk through here, I can watch the video. I can go down and click through the interactive demo here, right? Check that out. Maybe I go down here and I want to check out who I know that uses AssetMule. So I click on the Noble component and, reach out to Greg here to get his feedback. And then as I continue going down, there's some resources here again. So I maybe click on what templates do they have? Let me check this out. And again, then forward this on to other people in my team and my CFO to check it out, and my VP of sales and my VP of marketing and all that stuff, right? And what's really great about that is as people are engaging with this, AssetMule is tracking everything. So first of all, the salesperson is going to get an email like this saying, hey, somebody just viewed your AssetMule for OpenAI asset. But then within AssetMule as well, we're going to track every person that views it and every interaction that they had. You can see here that, this one person, again, we don't currently show who exactly it is, and I'll actually show you a way that you can get that data in a second, but you'll see just a unique identifier. So we know that one person viewed this from Palo Alto. They clicked on the video, they clicked on the demo, they clicked on the Noble component, they clicked and checked out a template library. Maybe they forward that on to somebody else in Miami, right? And that person's, we get a unique identifier here, and you see Miami and you see what they did on the page. You now know it's starting to circulate, right? And that your champion is now selling that internally. Now, talking about how to actually see who viewed it, we have introduced a integration with some of these tools that you might be familiar with, Vector, RB2B, Warmly, these tools that help sort of identify contact level intents on your website. We've actually integrated them here as well. So if you go to the assets section and you go to settings, you'll see the ability to embed tracking pixels to track that level of data, right? And we've done that here. We use Vector, so we've added the Vector tracking pixel. And now, in addition to those insights in AssetMule, if I go over to Vector, or if I've hooked Vector up to my Slack, I can actually get real-time notifications of these things. But now you'll see that person-level data. I viewed that page, right? So it says Justin Dorfman from AssetMule viewed the AssetMule for OpenAI page. So you can actually get the person-level data. If now Justin Dorfman forwards it on to George Soto or Dane Lyons, right? Now we can start to see different people on the team are seeing the asset, and we can get that. Even though we're not in the room, right, we can get that view on what's happening behind those closed doors and how our champion is selling our solution internally. So that's the walkthrough for today, and hopefully that gives you a sense of how you can enable your champions, enable your sales team to enable your champions to sell your solution internally, and how you can do that through video, interactive demos, social proof, and all the different elements that we showed today in a dynamic and interactive sales asset experience. So I'm going to pause here and open up for questions.
All right, awesome. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the folks who are tuning in. And Sachi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you so much for your kind words. And, we're really excited that this is resonating, and Justin always does a great job. I don't think there's anything that Justin doesn't do well. Maybe
there's plenty of things.
well, maybe like tennis, because he has a bolt in his hand now.
Yeah. My tennis game is off for sure. I'm not the best singer, I would say. I try my best. trying to get better at guitar, but not quite at George's level yet either.
Hannah, have a good one. You got to hop. Thank you so much for the walkthrough. Let us know if you have any questions, and maybe we'll do some guitar work. Anyways, I did think about some buyer enablement tunes, but I think I need to work on them before I show the world. Maybe we'll do an outro thing in the future, but let me work on it. Folks, this is the time. Again, thank you so much, Hannah and Sachi, for being on today's session or office hours session. If you do have any questions, anyone out there, this is the time. We got a couple minutes to answer all your questions, comments, feedback. We posted a couple links and tagged a couple tools that you might want to check out that work well with AssetMule. So Noble, as Justin mentioned, really the future and present. I should say present because it's not the future. It's happening right now. So check out Noble. You can check out the blog post as well. This speaks to our integration, but also if you want to see people level data warmly, RB2B, vector, great people or person level data you can take a look at, and it have good Slack plugins, so you can get all that insight in there and further inundate your brain with signals from notifications. But I think that, Justin, what I'm super excited about is just kind of like we saw what e-commerce, aka websites or the internet, did to shopping, right? There was a world for the folks out there. I don't know if there's anyone who remembers that world that who's on this call. Thank you. Actually, hold on. Valuable insights. Valuable insights. I bet. I bet you on the guitar. Okay, I'm gonna work on that. But there was a world where consumer brands, mom and pop shops, all the way up to the largest company. There was a day where that existed where Macy's.com did not exist. You had to go to Macy's, right, in person. And so the buying experience was quite different. And so what we're proposing in this buyer enablement movement is to have a similar revolution in B2B. And you're seeing this happen with interactive demos, with product-led growth kind of taking off in different ways, and folks understanding that even if you're a B2B enterprise organization, you don't need to be beholden to a credit card swipe type transaction for product-led or self-serve experiences, product experiences to add value. And so this is just part of that consumerization of the enterprise, which we've been talking about for a long, long time, right? It's another fancier sort of offshoot terminology around from like digital transformation, right? And so, as asynchronous buying makes more of a push across the planet, as Justin was mentioning, as just the idea that buyers are making these decisions and want dynamic information, right? And for us as sellers, we want to be able to update that, one pager that is being watched by the prospect in real time, right? And as much as is possible. Imagine a world where that happens literally in front of the prospect, right, from 1 second to the next. So these things are coming, so we're really, really excited about that world, and we're keen on living in that world. And to Justin's also story, like, look, as sellers, we don't want to have to do all that traveling and be in a meeting for everything. If the experience is accurate and conveys the tone and culture and experience that we want to communicate to the prospect in a async sort of automated way, then that's what we want, right? Because that's going to be what's best for the client as well. So, this idea that everyone learns the same is obviously inaccurate. We all know that everyone learns in different ways. Well, you know what? People buy in different ways, right? And so we need to be able to accommodate to that. And the way that your colleague decides on making a solution, especially or buying a solution, especially in these buying committees, is different, or potentially is different than the way that you do, right? So again, let's be buyer first. We're going to go ahead and wrap up, everyone. Thank you so much. Oh, that's very kind of you. Coolest LinkedIn Live. I think the guitar is a hit. It's either my
It is.
haircut or I don't think it's my haircut because I haven't got one in a while. But I think it's the guitar. Maybe we'll consider that. But for everyone, thank you so much for joining us today for this LinkedIn Live office hours. If you are not a AssetMule user, go ahead and click on or go to AssetMule.com, or I should say .ai. Why am I saying .com? You see with the brain's making stuff up. AssetMule.ai, not .com. And check it out. Sign up for free. You can, kick the tires on it if you're an existing user. Thank you so much for that. Go ahead and click on subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, or follow us on LinkedIn if you're not already. We do goofy stuff like this all the time, which is fun. But at the end of the day, we're trying to improve buying experiences for buyers out there, and the selling experiences for sellers out there. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.